First, it was Albuquerque Mayor Tim Keller complaining about his November opponent's effort to get public campaign financing. Then the city clerk agreed. Then a hearing officer this week said the same thing. Bernalillo County Sheriff Manny Gonzalez used some forged documents to try to get hundreds of thousands of dollars for his campaign. Now, Mr. Gonzalez says he'll appeal to the state district court. And Serge, one of the sheriff's points in his defense was that challenges seem to happen in every campaign, and there are always inaccurate or forged signatures. That wasn't valid in the hearing officer's eyes. Think I'll have any more luck in court with that?
No, I don't think everybody does this. It doesn't work when, with my kids trying to get out of trouble, and it doesn't work in the court system, especially with something as important as public financing and election law. So I would not be confident that that was going to prevail.
Yeah. Inez, interesting. Well, I'm going to skip you, Inez. My fault there. I'm going to go to the senator for this one. My fault. One of the points the sheriff made in his defense was that challenge, again, it happens every campaign, and he's right. It does happen every campaign. Is he not right here?
Yes, he is right. And I have to say that I never did public financing, but I did have to collect signatures. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I was thinking about is when you have a primary particularly, and you say I'd had 3 or 4 Republicans running with me, mm-hmm. then people do make a mistake because they may have signed my petition and then they signed somebody else's. So most candidates allow for those kinds of mistakes that happen, or somebody signed their name, like I'm registered as H. Diane mm-hmm. Snyder, mm-hmm. and somebody signed it Diane H. or something like that. There are things that get removed, signatures that get removed. So you make allowances and collect more signatures than you're required to have.
There you go.
But
mm-hmm.
I think if I understand this correctly, Sheriff Gonzalez admitted that some of that had happened.
That's right.
And he knew a person, one of his volunteers, who had done it. That to me makes it a little more concerning, because you can, as a candidate, go through and wipe out signatures yourself.
That's right.
You don't have to turn them in
mm-hmm.
if you know that they're inappropriate or collected inappropriately.
Good points there.
let
me, in the interest of time, Senator, I'm sorry to jump in on you there, but I want to get to Inez here real quick. One of the reasons we're talking about this is that a bunch of cities have public financing, including yours, Inez, and Santa Fe. Is this collection and qualification standard and process we're talking about here, is this the right way to go about it, frankly?
Well, I don't know how else you can decide how you're going to give money. I mean, basically, you're taking taxpayer money that we agreed as taxpayers to give to public financing, mm-hmm. and they want to show that the person signing up has some semblance of support. And getting signatures and collecting money doesn't seem like a bad way to do it. I mean, you don't have to either forge signatures or tell the person, I'll pay for you, so it's okay.
Right.
I mean, those are things that campaign chose to do. You don't have to do that. And that hasn't really been a problem in Santa Fe. I mean, we have had a perennial candidate who gets signatures somehow or the other, I have no clue how, and then spends all the campaign money on lunches with her friends. And
right.
that seems to me a problem, but in terms of the collection, that hasn't been a huge issue in Santa Fe.
Yeah, it's interesting. Serge, I got to go back to the accusation by the sheriff to the Keller campaign that Mr. Keller has appointees working against him. What happens if he loses in district court because Mr. Keller does not appoint judges? I mean, what happens after that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think there's much to that argument to begin with, but I guess you keep appealing and appealing until you get up to the Supreme Court. But I do think there is, interesting, a kernel of something interesting there, which mm-hmm. is this probably the best practice would be to have, instead of having the candidates themselves or the appointed city clerk be in this role, but have, a commission, and every 4-year commission that does this, that reviews these, that goes through these, right? That says these are legit, these are not legit. This is a real issue, and this is, a non-issue or whatever. That applies the same standards, but mm-hmm. otherwise we really don't know. There's no process for doing this unless someone from the other side says, "Aha, I'm going to check all these," right? Yeah. So I think taking it out of the hands of this city clerk who has a whole other job, and making a special process for this makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of
go
the,
ahead. Mm-hmm. Diane, please.
one of the things that I find really most disturbing about it is that a candidate who did not need to do this, he's got enough support in the community.
Right.
That wasn't necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And what the long-term impact may be is major changes in our campaign financing laws. And I just want candidates to be on the up and up always. I think that, I know, Serge is laughing at me. I think that's incredibly important, not just, but really when you're taking the public's money,
Right.
then it to me, it reaches another degree of importance that it be ethical, moral, and things to be done.
Senator, let me
is,
ask you this. Does it make a difference because he wears a badge, the sheriff? Meaning,
No.
should he have taken even more precaution on
Yes,
this?
well, I think elected officials have even more of a responsibility because you swear to a constitution or a charter that you're going to be ethical and moral.
Gotcha.
The other quick point is I have heard so many people say when we were discussing this, the immediate reaction is, well, I need to send Manny a check.
Right.
So they don't like what has happened,
Right.
and they do feel like there is some bias. So what it may have done is give the sheriff a greater pot of money in which to run, much greater than the public funding might have been.
You think he could make up a $600,000 gap?
Oh, yeah.
Really? Okay. Let me ask Serge this. Should the presence of some non-matching signatures disqualify potentially thousands of other valid ones? See, this is my point here. Does the presence or admission in Mr. Gonzalez's case of bad signatures or forms, does that indicate that a candidate can't keep her own house in order? Or is this just stuff that happens on the street that's out of their control?
I mean, I think that goes to Diane's point of, then get 5,000 because then you won't have to worry about this. I do think, there's a few here and there is to be expected, but a large number where you know about it and submit these anyway. I mean, that brings it to a whole other level, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think, the threshold is probably too high in terms of the actual numbers right now.
Yeah.
But I do think
you have to have a machine to pull it off. You have to have a legitimate machine to pull it off. It's not just standing out there with clipboards. Inez, go ahead. I saw your finger up there for a quick sec.
Just real quickly, there's a real difference between making an error, which everyone can do, and committing fraud. And one is a crime. And if you're the sheriff of Bernalillo County and you're running because you're going to clean up all the crime in Albuquerque, the crime that you didn't take care of when you were Bernalillo County sheriff, but you will be able to do as mayor by that logic, committing forgery or having your employees or workers commit forgery does not seem to me to be the best campaign message.
Good ending note there. We're out of time for this week. Thanks to everyone here for their time and thoughts. I'm back in a moment.